In 2023, Web3 is growing fast and it's one of the best career paths if you are a developer. But if you want to seize this opportunity, you have to use the right tools. So in this video, I will list the most useful tools for Web3 development in 2023. If you are new here, I'm Julian, and on either blogs, I help you to become a Web3 expert so that you can make more money, gain more freedom, and work on projects that you love. And to get started, we're gonna focus on Web2 languages. So Web3 is built on top of Web2, and there are some prerequisites. When you build a Web3 application, a big part of it is in the front end. That's why you need to know JavaScript. You also need to know JavaScript because a lot of the development tools for Web3 are built in JavaScript. If you don't touch the front end at all, you can get away with Python because you also have some development tools in Web3 that are in Python. If you are doing some hardcore blockchain development, like building some blockchain client, which is a software that actually runs the blockchain, it can be very useful to be proficient either in Golang or in Rust because there are many blockchain clients that are written with these two languages. So in terms of prerequisite for Web2 technology, that's it. Next, we're going to talk of the different blockchain that you're going to use as a Web3 developer. So most of the Web3 development happen on Ethereum. So as a Web3 developer, you need to be familiar with Ethereum. And beside Ethereum, there are other blockchains, and a lot of them are also based on the technology of Ethereum. We say that they are EVM compatible. And if you want to see the full list of all these blockchains, you can check out this website. And I'm going to list a couple of EVM blockchains that are very popular. So after Ethereum, the second most popular EVM blockchain is Polygon, which is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum, basically a secondary blockchain connected to Ethereum to make it more scalable. In the same category, we also have Arbitrum and Optimism. And then we have completely separate blockchain also based on the technology of Ethereum, such as Avalanche or BNB Chain. So when you learn to build a Web3 application on Ethereum, you can also reuse your skill for all of these blockchain, and all the development tools for Ethereum can also be reused on this blockchain. So then let's talk of smart contract languages. So smart contract, these are the small programs that run on the blockchain. And they can be written in different languages, and the most popular one is Solidity. So Solidity is used for a majority of Web3 applications. It looks like JavaScript from a syntax level, but it's actually quite different. The second most used smart contract language is Viper. The syntax of Viper looks like Python. So if you come from a Python background, you might be tempted to start with Viper, but I still recommend to start with Solidity because that's really where most of the demand for the job market is. Then we have YAML, also called Solidity Assembly. So YAML is very low level and allow you to target directly EVM opcode. So these are the elementary instructions that run on the Ethereum virtual machine. This is very powerful. You can get maximum flexibility, but you can also shoot yourself in the foot. So you have to be really careful with that. Then we have another low-level language called Huff that is getting a lot of traction in 2023. And again, like for YAML, it gives you maximum flexibility. It allows you to do some gas optimization, and it's great to learn how the EVM works, but it's more dangerous. So then we're going to talk of some Solidity libraries, and the most used one is called OpenZeppelin. So OpenZeppelin have some standard implementation for some smart contracts that are used for a lot of Web3 applications such as ERC-721 and ERC-20. What's good with OpenZeppelin is that this is some audited code, which means that a lot of pair of eyes check out that this code is safe and has no bugs. So if you need something very standard like ERC-20 or ERC-721, you shouldn't try to code it from scratch, but instead use OpenZeppelin. Another Solidity library that you might need to use is this library that provides you with fixed point numbers in Solidity that is not provided by the language. Then beside this library, we also have some smart contract frameworks that are very useful for doing testing and deployment. So the most popular smart contract framework in 2023 is Hot Hat. Hot Hat is currently used in 5 of the 10 top DeFi protocols, and it's also one of the most downloaded Web3 library. Hot Hat is written in Node.js and can be easily installed with NPM. Another framework that is gaining a lot of traction in 2023 is Foundry. Foundry is a framework written in Rust, and its features are similar to Hot Hat, but it's even more powerful. So if you are a beginner, I would encourage to start with Hot Hat, and after you can check out Foundry once you become more expert. Another framework for smart contract is Truffle. Truffle used to be much more popular, but it was displaced by Hot Hat. One of the things that people didn't like about Truffle was its deployment system. I find it a little bit more beginner friendly than Hot Hat. So if you don't like Hot Hat, you can check it out. But in any case, on the job market, most people will still require you to be proficient with Hot Hat. Then we have Brownie. So Brownie is a smart contract framework written in Python. So if you're more of a Python guy, you might want to check this out. But it's not clear if Brownie is still actively maintained. And it seems like another Python framework for smart contract is becoming more popular, and it's called Ape. So next, we're going to talk of local development blockchain. So when you develop a smart contract, it's very useful to deploy it on a local blockchain that runs just on your computer and that you can use for testing and making mistakes completely isolated from the real blockchain. And so there are a couple of them. So first we have Ganache. So Ganache is part of Truffle. Ganache has a CLI version that you can run in your command line only. And it also has a GUI version that comes with a nice user interface. Then for Hot Hat, its local development blockchain is called Hot Hat Network and it's CLI only. And for Foundry, their local development blockchain is called Anvil and it's also CLI only. So in general, you will just use the local development blockchain of the framework that you used. If you use Truffle, it's going to be Ganache. For Hot Hat, it's going to be Hot Hat Network. And Foundry, it's going to be Anvil. Then we're going to talk of testnet and faucet. Having a local development blockchain is great, but the problem is that it just runs on your laptop. And sometimes you want something a bit more realistic to test your smart contract. And so for that, we have public testnets. So public testnets are alternative blockchain network. They run on many different nodes all over the world. But on this network, you can make mistakes, it doesn't matter. So for Ethereum and EVM-based blockchain, there are a couple of testnets. Currently in 2023, the most used one for Ethereum is Goerli, but it's been deprecated and it's going to be replaced by another one, which is called Sepolia. It's also possible to use the testnet of Polygon, which is called Mumbai. And for all these testnets, you have an associated faucet, which is a tool that allows you to get some testnet ether for this network so that you can send transactions. Then we're going to talk of a kind of tool called a blockchain explorer. So a blockchain explorer allows you to inspect the details of transaction and addresses. So typically you will provide an address or a transaction hash and blockchain explorer will show you some detail. And the most popular blockchain explorer for Ethereum is called Etherscan. It's completely free to use and it's very convenient. And there are also blockchain explorers for other networks. For example, for BNB chain, we have BSC scan. For Polygon, we have Polygon scan, etc. Then we're going to talk of Web3 IDEs. So for Solidity, you can use an IDE that is called Remix. Remix is an online IDE, so you just have to visit its address and you can use it directly. No need to install it. And it will provide you with syntax highlighting, and it also has a built-in local development blockchain that you can use to deploy your smart contract when you are just developing. Remix also has a bunch of plugins and has become a really powerful tool. Remix is great when you want to code simple smart contract or when you want to learn about new features of Solidity. But when you are doing some more serious project, you will probably use your own code editor, and I would recommend VS Code because it has some very good extensions for Solidity. So there is the Solidity extension of Juan Blanco. And there's also the extension for Hot Hat, which is very convenient. So now let's talk of debugging. So for debugging a transaction, you can use a tool that is called Tenderly. So it looks like a blockchain explorer, but it's a little bit more powerful because it can really show you the detail of what happened during a transaction, especially if some smart contracts are involved. It can show you which function was called and when an error was triggered. There is another similar tool that is getting a lot of traction right now, and that's istx.info. If you use Remix, it's also possible to use the built-in debugger, and you can understand precisely when in your code an error was triggered. If you use Hot Hat, there is a nice feature that is called console log. where you can just print the content of a variable like you would do in JavaScript. And if you use the Foundry framework, there is a nice tool that is called Cast, and this is a CLI tool that allows you to send transactions with the command line, and that's also very handy for debugging. All right, so now we're going to talk of smart contract security. So smart contract security is extremely important because when you develop a smart contract, you usually manipulate a lot of money. But at the same time, it's also not possible to change the code of a smart contract. So before deployment, you want to make sure that everything works fine. And so smart contract security is important. And usually what Web3 projects do is before they deploy the smart contract, they do what is called a smart contract audit, where basically we will pay some expert to verify that the code has no errors. And this smart contract auditor use some tools to help them to find some vulnerabilities, and two of them are called Mistral and Slither. So if you do smart contract security, you're going to need to use these two tools. And another useful tool for smart contract security is testnets. I'm not sure I pronounced it right, but basically it allows you to do some fuzzing, which means that it's going to generate a lot of different data that's going to be used as input for testing your smart contract function. And so we want to make sure that your smart contract function will not be hacked if we provide some weird data. Next, we're going to talk of front-end libraries. So a Web3 application has a component that is on a blockchain, that's a smart contract. And there is another component that is a front-end interface that allows user to interact with a smart contract. So this interface can be either a web application or a mobile application. In the front end of a lot of Web3 applications, we use either React or Next.js. So that's a Web2 technology, but it's very used in Web3 applications. So in order to interact with the blockchain, there are a couple of libraries that can help you. And the most popular Web3 library for the front end is Ethers.js. So that's a JavaScript library, and it allows you to interact with the blockchain and with smart contracts. You can use it both for reading data and also for modifying data by sending transaction. And you can also use it to listen to events on the blockchain in real time by using WebSocket. And it also has a bunch of utility functions that can do all sorts of things, like converting an Ether unit into Wei or manipulating numbers. Another library for the front end is Web3.js. There is really a lot of overlap between Web3 and Ethers.js. Their features are really similar. And before, Web3.js used to be more popular, but nowadays it's Ethers.js. Another library that appeared very recently is called VM. VM provides the same kind of functionality as Web3.js and Ethers.js, but it's written in TypeScript. So all the libraries I mentioned so far are pretty low level, and you still have to do a lot of boilerplate code in your Web3 application. And if you want something more high level, you can check out WAGMI. So WAGMI is a set of React hooks for the front end of your Web3 application. So WAGMI has less flexibility, but also less boilerplate code. So if you're getting started, I recommend to just check out Ethers.js, and after, when you're getting bored of the boilerplate code, check out how WAGMI can help you. And the last library for the front end I'm going to mention is Scaffold ETH. So Scaffold ETH is a library to easily scaffold the front end of a Web3 application. And there are different templates available, and it can save you a lot of time. Then we're going to talk of wallets. So wallets are outside of Web3 application and are controlled by end users. And this is where end users store their private key, which ultimately allow them to spend the coin and sign transactions. And when you build a Web3 application, you will need to integrate with this wallet. And you will do this by using one of the front-end libraries that I mentioned before, like Ethers.js or Web3.js. So the most popular wallet for Web3 application is called MetaMask. It comes as a browser extension and also as a mobile app. You can use it to send Ether to another address or to sign any kind of transaction like executing a smart contract function. Another popular wallet for Web3 apps is the Coinbase wallet, but it's far behind MetaMask in terms of users. Then we also have the Trust wallet. Then we also have the Agent wallet. So what makes Agent special is that it has some built-in integration with some DeFi protocol. And then we have this project called Wallet Connect. So Wallet Connect is both a protocol and an implementation. So Wallet Connect allows you to easily integrate wallets with your Web3 application. So as a Web3 developer, sometimes it can be difficult to do the integration with all kinds of wallets. So typically users prefer to use wallets on their mobile because it's safer than the wallet that are extension in their laptop. And so to use Wallet Connect, a user will load a Web3 application on their laptop. And when they want to connect the wallet, the Web3 app is going to show a QR code. And by using their crypto wallet on their phone, they're going to scan this QR code. And from there, they will be able to confirm this action from their phone. So for the user, it's a great experience. And as a developer, it also massively simplifies the integration of wallets. So I highly encourage you to check out this project. So Wallet Connect is the name of the protocol, and the name of their widget is called Web3 Model. This is what you will use in your Web3 apps. Okay, so that's it for wallets, and next we're gonna talk of backend libraries. So even though Web3 application is front-end heavy, it's also possible to build a Web3 app with the backend. And when you want to interact with the blockchain from the backend, you can reuse some libraries that we mentioned before. So Ethers.js, for example, can be used in the front end, but also in the backend. Web3.js, same thing. And there are also some libraries that I haven't mentioned before because they are for backend languages. So we have Web3.py, Web3.py for Python, and we also have similar library for Rust, Java, and all the big languages. So next, I'm going to talk of protocol-specific libraries. So you have some JavaScript libraries that are a little bit higher level than Ethers and Web3 and that allow you to directly interact with a specific protocol. So for example, we have the Uniswap v3 SDK that allow you to interact with the Uniswap protocol. So if you never heard of Uniswap, this is a decentralized exchange that allows you to buy and sell crypto token in a decentralized manner. We also have a library for Compound. It's called Compound.js. So Compound, this is a lending protocol, allow you to borrow and lend token in a decentralized way. So by using these libraries, you can interact with this protocol in a much more simple way. And some of these protocols also provide a web APIs that you can use to interact with them. So if you're interested in interacting with a specific protocol, you should first check out the documentation of this protocol to see if they provide any specific tooling. So next, we're going to talk of Web3 APIs. So if you want to interact with the blockchain and with smart contract, you need to go through a blockchain node. So when you use a wallet like MetaMask or Coinbase wallet, they already have their own blockchain node, so you don't need to worry about this. But the problem is that you cannot already assume that the user of your Web3 application will already have some wallets inside. Some of them don't have wallet, they just want to read data. They don't want to send any transaction. So we need to provide functionality to these users. Or sometimes we'll also build a Web3 app that is backend only and there is no wallet involved, and we still want to be able to interact with the blockchain. So in this case, that means that we need to run our own blockchain node, but that's something that is very difficult to do. So instead, it's a better idea to use one of these Web3 API that basically run Ethereum node for you and expose the functionality through a web API that is very easy to consume. So one of the most famous Web3 API is Infura. It's quite simple to use and they have a free tier. Another Web3 API is Alchemy. So Alchemy provides more features than Infura and also have a lot of very useful tools on their platform. So if you need something more robust and with more functionality, you can check out Alchemy. Another alternative is QuickNode. Another Web3 API is Moralis Web3. So what makes Moralis Web3 special is that they provide some high-level APIs, not just at the blockchain node level, but something that is closer to the application level. So I would say that Moralis Web3 is a little bit like Firebase, but for Web3. Quite high level and quite convenient. And then we have ThirdWeb. So ThirdWeb is a pretty interesting project because it combines an API with a whole ecosystem of tools and libraries. So if you choose to go with ThirdWeb, it's better to use all of their ecosystem. It's a bit harder to mix and match like you would do for other Web3 API. So if you're just getting started, I would say just start with Infura. You just want something simple, and after check out the other ones. Then we're going to talk of private blockchain. So as a Web3 developer, most likely you'll build an application on a public blockchain. But if you work for enterprises, this type of organization could be interested in private blockchain. And if you want to set up easily a private blockchain, you can use either Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud. They all have an offering for that. Then we're going to talk of smart contract automation. When you're a Web3 developer and you deploy smart contract, there are some administrative operation or some recurrent operation that you want to do. So for example, sometimes you want to update your smart contract, or perhaps that there are some function that you want to execute regularly or under certain condition. And so for that, you have a couple of tools that can help you. So first we have OpenZeppelin Defender, then we have Gelato, and then we have Chainlink Keepers. Then we're going to talk of how you can run your own blockchain node. So as I said before, it's not easy to do that. So I would not recommend to try it. But there are certain cases where you absolutely want to have more control, or if you just want to experiment, this can also be interesting. So here you have a couple of options. The most popular client for Ethereum is Get, which is written in Golang. Then we have Netmind, which is written in .NET. And you can also use a physical machine. And there are two companies that provide this. There is Dapnode and there is Avado. All right, so next we're going to talk of Oracle. So sometime in your smart contract, you want to be able to access outside data. And for that, you need to have Oracle. So an Oracle, and the most popular Oracle is Chainlink. So Chainlink allows you to generate random number and to access outside data on the blockchain. Then we're going to talk of storage. So it's very expensive to store data on the blockchain. So we avoid to store very large files like images or video. So how can we do? We do have some decentralized network that are well suited for storing a large file like images. And the most famous project for that is called IPFS. So IPFS is not a blockchain. It's a different technology. It's decentralized, yes, but it's not blockchain. So IPFS is great, but the problem is that when you store something on it, you have no guarantee that it will stay there. And to keep a file long-term on IPFS, you have to use what we call the pinning. And for that, you can use a service called Pinata. And recently, there was another project that started to gain some traction. So that's an alternative to IPFS. It's called Arweave. And the big difference with IPFS is that it does provide you a guarantee that your file is going to be stored long-term. So next, I want to talk about DAO or decentralized autonomous organizations. So DAO are basically decentralized organizations represented by a smart contract where members of the organization can vote in order to spend the treasury of the DAO. And DAOs are very used in the governance of DeFi protocols. And so there are a couple of tools that are very popular to create DAO. So one of these tools is called Snapshot. So Snapshot allows you to create a DAO and also to operate it. So with Snapshot, you can create proposal and you can also vote. And a lot of DAO are using Snapshot. Then an alternative to Snapshot is Aragon. And finally, there is a dashboard called DeepDAO, which provides you a lot of data about the different DAOs that exist. Then we're going to talk of front-end hosting. So Web3 application is mostly front-end, and it's usually not very difficult to host it. And you can use any hosting for static websites. So I personally recommend Vercel. It works very well with React and Next.js application. Actually, Vercel, this is the same team that created Next.js. Another hosting provider that you can use for your Web3 app is Flick. So Flick allows you to host a static website, and this will be hosted on IPFS. So it's basically like Vercel, but for IPFS. Next, we're going to talk of reading data, analytics, and dashboard. So reading data on the blockchain can be complex, especially if you want to have historical data. So there is a project called The Graph, which allows you to read historical data by using GraphQL. This can be used in a Web3 application or by using the website directly if you just want to do some analysis. BigQuery is an alternative to The Graph. It also allows you to query the blockchain with GraphQL. And then you have some platform to run some queries to do some analysis, such as Dune Analytics. So with Dune Analytics, you use a language close to MySQL to query the blockchain, and you can do some pretty complex stuff. Very similar to doing analytics, we have Google Query. And after that, there are also some dashboards that are very interesting. For example, there is DeFi Llama that provides a lot of info about DeFi protocols. We also have L2 Bits, which give you information about layer 2 blockchains such as Polygon. We also have Ultrasound Money that gives you information about the supply of Ether. Since EIP 1559, the supply of Ether can change, so with Ultrasound Money, you can see what's going on. Then there is also Ethernodes, which tells you which Ethereum clients is most used on the Ethereum network. Then let's talk of crypto trading and flashloan. So if you're interested in flashloan, you need to use a flashloan provider. And so first you can check out Aave protocol, because Aave is the project that originally invented the concept of flashloan. Then we also have Uniswap that provides flashloan. So what's great with Uniswap is that they have a lot of different liquidity pools. So you have access to a lot of different assets for your flashloan. Then you can also check out DYDX. So DYDX also provide flashloan with no fee, contrary to Uniswap and Aave who do charge a fee. But the choice of asset on DYDX is much less. So if you do crypto trading, you also might want to read the data from the market. And so for that, you can use different APIs. So there is the API of CoinMarketCap that gives you real-time prices. Same thing with CoinGecko. And if you want something even more powerful, you can check out Coin API. And finally, there is a JavaScript library which is called CCXT, which allow you to interface with a lot of exchanges. And this is going to be useful if you want to send some orders programmatically. All right, and next we're going to talk of human-friendly addresses. So the big problem with crypto addresses is that it's very unfriendly to humans. So there is a project called ENS that stands for Ethereum Name Service. This allows you to register a human readable name to your Ethereum address. And what is great is that a lot of wallets support ENS. So that means, for example, if you receive a payment from someone, you just give them your ENS name instead of the address directly. People put this in a wallet and the wallet will know how to resolve this into the actual address. So it's very good for the user experience. And we also have another project that is called Unstoppable Domain. So Unstoppable Domain allows you to register URLs, but in the blockchain. For example, you have some domain names that end with .crypto. These domain names currently only work in Brave and Opera. They don't work in Chrome, but it might come in the future. So in this video, you'll learn about the most useful tools for Web3 development. And if you want to understand how to use these tools, you have to use them. And so the next step in your learning is to learn Solidity, the programming language for smart contract. And for that, check out these other tutorials on my channel that will teach you Solidity. This is for total beginners, so you don't need to have any prerequisite. I will see you there.